Hello friends, today I am going to give my lecture on data visualizations. Data visualizations is a very important technique of data mining. So first of all, we have to know what we have to visualize. We have a huge volume of data. From the huge volume of data, we have to find the knowledge. Means from the informations, we have to find out the knowledge. How? We can use different statistical method, but easier way to analyze those data by a image we can easily understand. So visualizations is a use of computer graphics to create the visual image which aid in the understanding of complex often massive representations of the data. So the visual data mining is the process of discovering implicit but useful knowledge from the larger data set, and we will discuss the different visualizations technique one by one. What determines the data visualizations choice? Visualization is the first step to make sense of data. I have huge amount of data set. Now, before applying the statistical tools on the particular data set, if we can use some visualizations technique, it will very much helpful to use a proper statistical tool. And for a layman, image is the easier way to understand what the data actually want to say. So visualizations is very important. We have to use the right chart or graph or map for the visualization. It's not that I have line chart, I have bar chart, I can use for any time. No, absolutely not, because we have to use the chart graphs whenever is applicable. Where scatter chart is applicable, we have to use scatter diagram. Where the pie chart is applicable, we have to use pie chart. So we have to know that which chart is used for the when, and we will discuss in details about each and every chart in the visualizations technique. So please continue the study. We all know table and we all know graph. So graph is the graphical representations, and table where we can provide different data in the row and column format. So we can see, means we can see the table in a sort of particular specific values. We can use the table for a specific purpose. When we have a smaller amount of data set, we can go for table. But when we have a larger amount of data, when we want to give a safe to a particular for those value on the table, when we want to generate the trends from the data set, then table only cannot give you that knowledge. So we require graph for that. So there are 5 factors that influence data visualization's choice. Is very important. So what are those 5 factors? Audience, content, context, dynamics, and purpose. It's very important to adjust the data representations to a target audience. If I'm representing my data and show the analysis result to the management of a sales company and for a FMCG manufacturing organization, then the audience, and if I have to show the graphical representations of the data to the customer, obviously the representation is not the same. So based on the audience, we have to use the visualizations. Content, the type of data also determines the tactics. Context, you may use different approach to the way your graph looks and therefore read depending on the context. There are various types of data and each of it implies a different rate of changes in the representations. So that is in dynamic. And purpose, you have to understand the goal of the data visualizations, what you want to find out. So these 5 factors, audience, content, context, dynamic, and purpose, is very important for the visualizations choice. Now we will going to discuss one by one. Line plot. You all are habituated with this line plot. is the simplest technique by which you can plot the relationship or the dependence of one variable to the another. To plot the relationship between the two variables, we can simply call the plot function. That means we can say how x data is related to the y data. So then means when we want to make a graph or the analysis result, graphical representations on the two dependent and independent variable, then we may go for the line plot. This is bar chart. Is a very common we use when we have different categories or the group of values. We use the bar chart. There are two types of bar chart. We all know, that is either vertical bar chart or horizontal bar chart. By the different colors of means we can add different values under the each group. Like under the ideal there are E, W, and different categories are there. So we can use different groups, different categories for the bar chart. That means when we have different categories to define, then we will not go for the line chart, we will go for the bar chart. Pie and donut. This particular diagram is known as donut plot. When you remove the circle and is complete a single circle, then it will be a pie chart. There is a very much debate that pie and donut. Basically, pie is for the single tuple analysis chart. When you want to find out the relationship of your annual expenses, say for example your monthly expenses, you have a salary and after that you pay for the rent, you pay for your children educations, you pay for your monthly telephone bill and the other XYZ expenses, and you want to plot it, so you can use pie chart. Now if a family having the 4 earning member and want to make a relationship between those 4 earning member on their individual expenses on a same chart, then pie chart will not affect, then we have to use the donut chart. So as a rule, they are used to compare the parts of the whole and the most effective when they are limited components, when the text and the percentage are included to describe the context. In the pie, basically we are defining the whole data part in the 360-degree angle, or say we can say it's 100%, then it's a 40% or 30% or 25% each segment. So this is very important when you are analysis your single tuple, then your bar chart or the line chart will not be helpful. This is very important plot or chart, you can say. This is histogram representing the distribution of continuous variable but over a given interval or a period of time. Say for example -3 to +3. Say for example 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. Then obviously we will go for the histogram. Say we want to visualize the data for understanding the relationship between the age and the height. So if I calculate the age creating a 5 group, that 10 to 20, 22, 30, 22, 40, 42, 50, and I have collected different ages under this group and then make the plot. And after that we want to find out that whether there is a relationship between your age and your height. So then it's best to use the histogram. That means when you have the continuous variable, again I repeat, when you have the continuous variable or the interval of the period of time, then you must use the histogram. It plots the data by conjuncting into an interval called the bins. It is used to insert the underlying frequency distributions, outliers, skewness, and so on. Even in the histogram, we can say that whether your data is normally distributed or not, we will discuss in another lecture then when we are covering the different statistical techniques for the data mining. Let's concentrate on the visualization. So already we have covered that what is line chart, what is bar chart, what is histogram, what is pie chart, what is donut chart. Now scatter plot. It's another common visualizations technique, that is scatter plot. It's a two-dimensional plot representing the joint variations of two data items. Each marker means the symbol or the dot is just observations. When you are assigning more than two measures, a scatter plot matrix is produced, that is a series of scatter plots displaying every possible pairing of the measures that are assigning the visualizations. Scatter plots are used for examining the relationship or the correlations between x and y variable. Now you might have a confusion that when to use the line chart, when to use the scattered plot, right? Scattered plot is when you have a huge amount of data and you want to see the depth of the data, and you want to understand that when you have a huge amount of data, not to find out only the normal distributions or not, whatever, then you can go with the scatter plot. Then these are the actual common chart already we have discussed, like bar chart, line chart, bar chart, scatter plot. Apart from that, bubble charts is there, stack chart is there, different charts are there. When to use which type, let conclude in such a way so that you can easily apply your chart in your application. Line graph. X-axis require quantitative value, variable have the contiguous value, familiar or the conventional ordering among the ordinal graph. Bar graph is comparison between the relative point value. Scattered plot convey overall impressions of relationship between the two variables. Pie chart emphasizing the differences in proportion among the few numbers. If you remember these keywords, you can easily apply your analysis, in your analysis, the particular technique of visualization. So, what are the different elements of a good graph? Your graph should having a title, should be having an axis level. Like many times we develop a graph without the axis level, so it's very difficult to understand which axis means, if what is my x-axis, what is my y-axis. The error bars is not there. If you have any error in the data set, if you have any outlier, that need to be mentioned in a proper way. And when you are developing your chart based on your data set, that year should be given. Means if I develop a chart on a relationship between the height and the age relationship in the current date in the year of 2020-21, and if after a long time in 2025-26 we are again using the data, might be the relationship change. So that's why the data year range should be given on the below side of the graph. Now visualizing a big data. Today organizations generate and collect data each minute. The huge amount of generated data, like we are talking about big data, bring a new challenges, the visualizations, huge amount of data, that on that time this particular technique will not solve. So there are different technique like kernel density estimations for non-parametric data. If we have no knowledge about the populations and the underlying distributions of data, such data is called about the non-parametric, is best visualized with the help of kernel density function that represents the probability distributions functions of a random variable. It is used when the parametric distributions of the data doesn't make much sense and you want to avoid making the assumptions about the data. Box plot or the whisker plot for the large data, basically for the outlier analysis we love to use the box plot. The researcher nowadays always like to use the box plot to find out the outlier. Many times we use the quartile measures, quartile chart also. This is very important, that is unstructured data, because nowadays important terminology, I believe you all know, those who have studied the data mining. Before conducting the data visualizations, they must know that what is text mining, right? So among the huge amount of images, I want to find out the effective text. Say I have an image, from that I want to find out the knowledge. So that is known as basically text mining. Now among the whole set of data, based on certain algorithm, we can easily find out, okay, cyber security, the color is relatively big and the bold in nature, so let's highlight it. So among the all, it is important. So easily we can identify. So for the unstructured visualizations, we can use the word cloud method. We can use the network diagram. Basically in the different technological visualizations, we have to find out the tree means relationship. We have to find out that which particular node is related to the other node. Then you may refer to the network visualization. Okay, now this is a correlation matrix is very important, as is allow the quick identifications of relationship between the variable by the combining big data and the fast response times. Basically a correlation matrix is a table showing the correlation coefficient between variables. Each cell in the table represents the relationship between the two variables, like CARB 0.8, WT 0.6, HP 0.4. Correlation matrices are used as a way to summarize the data as an input into the more relevant analysis and diagnosis and the advanced analysis. So these are the different analysis technique, and in this lecture already we know that basic analysis techniques, then text mining analysis techniques, then different analysis techniques which is helpful for the organizations. Now I request you to apply your knowledge which you want to use, which technique you want to apply on your data set, you can use that. After going to the whole lecture, if you find any difficulty, any query, you can reply me in the chat box, or you can connect with me in Facebook. And if you like my channel, then please subscribe my channel and don't forget to click on the bell icon. Okay, thank you very much for watching the video.